Yeah, terror is a strong word.
I'm Austin.
And I'm Cloud.
This is We Watch Movies. This week's movie is Five Steps to Danger. Five Steps to Danger is a 1957 spy crime drama romance film directed by Henry S. Kessler, starring Ruth Roman, Sterling Hayden, and Werner Klemperer. How about a plot synopsis?
All right, well, after his car breaks down while driving cross-country, a guy named John is offered a ride by a woman, Ann Nicholson. She's in a hurry to get to Santa Fe and needs someone to do some overnight driving. He accepts, and then he finds himself caught between some spies, a murder, and communist missiles. And I'll tell you one thing, this ain't your Sunday drive. Yeah, I'm just going to start this off by saying there's been, lines in this movie that would be, people would get shot for saying this in the wrong area.
Like what?
Like the truck stop. You just walk in. It's like, yeah, you got all these truckers and, if they've never seen a pretty lady before. And he just talks shit. And it's just like, someone's going to get hit in the face.
Yeah, like if this was a different movie, that would turn into a bar fight.
Yeah. And they were vastly outnumbered. So, yeah.
It was kind of strange. You just sort of walk into the truck stop and they're just sitting there in the open, talking not that quietly about everyone else in the truck stop being sort of people they don't want to deal with. I guess he's not real attached to his car.
No, that was something that kind of tripped me up, I'm so used to today how vehicle sales are handled. He's just like, so what would you give me for? It's like, but those tires, they were $80. And I'm thinking $80 for 4 tires? Guess that's not too bad. And $400 for the entire car? Kind of want to know why.
Well, I guess he didn't want to wait around for a week. But it's not, remember, this is 57. So, it's not $400. That's almost almost $3,400 equivalent.
Well, even with that, it's like, okay, let's say if you can just buy and sell a car for $400, you'd think with $400 he would just buy another car that was running and then go about his business. But obviously he wasn't in a hurry to do anything other than just leave for no particular reason. They didn't make a point in the movie about where he was going anyways. It's like, oh, well, I got a funeral to go to, or, my brother's in the hospital, something.
Yeah.
It's just
they said he was driving to somewhere, several states over to see friends for a month's vacation.
Back when jobs were good. So, yeah, you could totally take a month's worth of vacation.
Yeah, we don't really know anything about him. We don't know what kind of job he has or anything.
Oh, and it's Mrs. Nicholson. Damn it, you better say it right.
Yeah.
Because I can understand, it's 57 and the whole romance kind of part of a film is not as blown out as it is today. But the instant that she had made that comment about it's Mrs. Nicholson, well, we know where this is going. It is now so painstakingly obvious. I can just take a nap, wake up, and I already know what happened in the movie.
Yeah. Well, you say it's not as...
Where are the 5 steps? There was no 5 steps anywhere.
I don't know. There was some danger, but yeah, I don't know what the 5 steps were.
A lie.
I guess it just sounds... Yeah, there were no steps at all. So... Unless it was step 1, get in a car with a woman you don't know. Yeah. I don't really know what the steps were.
It should have been driving towards danger.
Yeah. Well, how about that? That sounds like an equivalent period title. Drive into danger.
Yeah, that's what we need to do. We need to petition that we change the name of this film because the name of this film sucks.
Yeah. Well, I mean, the poster is like really super great and terrible because it's 5 Steps to Danger, but it says, first she lured him into her car, then she let him taste her lips, and then the terror began. It's like, really? That's kind of not what happened.
Yeah.
5 Steps to Danger.
Wow, this is just like really bad.
I mean, you say it wasn't as blown out, and it's not for most of the movie, but then suddenly it just comes on and it's like, you know what? I've been thinking we should get married because I decided I really love you. Like when the whole rest of the movie, all we'd seen was that he was trying to get away.
Well, there was no depth to it, and there was no progression. It just kind of happened.
No, it's like we hate each other and then suddenly we're in love and we're married.
No, this is just all kinds of ridiculous, just everywhere.
Although he was pretty not very hesitant about just punching the police when he didn't even know what was going on yet.
Now, when they like showed up, they had their guns pulled and like they're holding it in a very old timey fashion. I'm just like, wow, just totally whip out that revolver on me.
It's not that hard to pick handcuffs.
No,
like they go to so much trouble. Handcuffs. Like we gotta get any handcuffs. It's not that much of a it's not that big a deal. It's just like, get the hacksaw, but they never thought of the keys before either. Like they stole the police keys, and then it wasn't until after they already had a saw, and he was like, maybe the keys, and then he checked the keys, and then he just took them off.
There was a pouch on the keys. Like, why is there a pouch on the keys? Like, you would think those kinds of keys you would keep on your person, not on your vehicle keys.
Yeah, you would think, and I think you probably do, but yeah, it was just, I don't know, maybe you wouldn't have then.
Even back then, it's still just ridiculous. I feel like in any of these older movies, anytime you see someone show up with their gun drawn, that's supposed to let you know that you're not supposed to like them because they're not good. Even these police, they're not anything special or important. They're just police doing their job. But as the audience, we're not supposed to want to like them because we're supposed to be rooting for the man and the woman trying to get to Santa Fe. And I think that's just one of those cliches where it's like, if you show up with your gun drawn in an older movie, that's the flag of don't like this person.
Yeah. But he went from punching the police and then escaping to then being like, what's going on? Or what's this murder? Do you really? And not believing that she wasn't telling the truth after he'd already dug himself into trouble without having any reason to have trusted her before.
Well, I want to take a step back and I want to think about the doctor and the nurse that are following her. Yeah. They are extremely at their job.
Yeah.
Like outside of just, the nurse lady's doing just what she's told and the doctor's crooked, which is very common in this film. It's just like, okay, she's fucked up in the head. Thanks for letting us know that she's fucked up in the head when she's not really fucked up in the head. So it's not even that important. And you could have just been after her for some other reason. Like they could have done differently. And instead of having the nurse show up and in the diner and talking to the dude, and obviously, Mrs. Nicholson had seen it. They could have totally skipped all that and then just had them as like spies or something. Sit in the car and just kind of watch them and then just like follow them.
Well, it kind of feels like that anyway, because the nurse gets back in the car and the doctor's like, what is it going to work? And then like does this creepy smile thing when she tells him he'll do it. And it's like right there, you think, well, wait, did she just lie about being a nurse? Or they really like what's going on here? And he does that again, even before we know for sure he's crooked. When they show up at the hotel, he stands up at the top of the stairs there and like leans over and does his creepy smile again.
Oh.
The nurse isn't in on it, right? She doesn't know.
No,
it's just the doctor.
No, she's just doing her job. But it's just that whole scene is just like, really? And then that's when they like the daylight hits, and then the police just show up out of nowhere. It's like it's not even they were just hidden. It's like they were hidden in the bushes. Like not even off the road. It's just like they were like in the forest, and then they just showed up. It's like, wow, that's police out of fucking nowhere.
Yeah. Well, John says something about that they had just passed through a small town or something, and they must have been there in the town. But yeah, they do just sort of appear.
They just appear, and then it's like in murder.
Yeah.
Like, let me just go ahead and do another movie cliche and then tell you all about this stuff that's really not important, nor should we be sharing with you, but we should arrest you and pull you in for interrogation. But no, let me tell you about the murder.
Yeah. And apparently they're the only police, because later the CIA guy says that they kept the heat off of them so they could see what was going to happen. But they weren't yet at that point. And they never happened to drive by it. Then they were wanted even more. They should have been looking for the car even harder than they were just to look for her for questioning, because they just knocked out police and stolen car keys and all kinds of things. So they should have, you would have thought somebody would have seen them. But,
well, there was the officer on a motorcycle.
Yeah, but what was with him? Because all he did was like look at them and then not bother them.
Yeah.
It was strange.
Yet again, something unnecessary. And so far, nothing happened. It has been scary or horrifying or to cause panic in anybody. Even back in 57, like so far, nothing has happened.
Then the terror began.
Like, because like crazy people are not scary until they start doing crazy things. And this lady, all she's done is drive and then say, I don't know anything about a murder. Yeah. Like, that is it. Like, so far, no horror, no terror, nothing.
Well, that's the thing that's crazy about the poster, is because I don't know that there's even supposed to be terror, because it's mostly just like maybe like, I guess it's like a drama thriller kind of spy kind of movie. I mean, because it's in 57. This is right in the middle of everybody being scared of communism taking over everything. So you understand, like, this is the kind of movie that they would be, because it's like, look, spies and communism, they've got missiles and secrets, and it's what everybody was afraid of anyway. But I think terror is maybe a strong word.
Yeah, terror is a strong word, which is obviously not a word applied to this film, for it is very weak. Now, I will say I like the flashback.
You like the flashback, or you like
I like the flashback. I like everything about it. Just like even her being so ignorant to like hearing the gunshot and then like looking down and there's some dude and he's dead and she screams and like that whole thing. It's like, yeah, this is totally an old film. I love it.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, now the bellhop guy at the cheap hotel, they called him a handyman, right?
Yeah, because he didn't really. It's just a cheap hotel. They didn't really have like a bellhop or anything. So he's like the maintenance guy.
Okay, I'll say this: that dude was making bank.
Yeah,
yeah, for like 1957. It's like, okay, well, if it's gonna cost me that much, you know that $5 I gave you? Yeah, you keep the change. Thanks, mister.
Yeah. Well, gee, $5.
Like, I know that guy got at least $2 out of it, and out of that $2, you know,
probably more than that. I mean, all he brought him was like coffee and a newspaper. That couldn't have cost that
sandwiches.
Much. Yeah, it's always coffee and sandwiches.
Coffee and sandwiches. And it's not even like the good sandwiches, you know, with like the good bread that you're supposed to dip in the coffee. It's sliced white bread.
Yeah. Well, $5.57 is $42.
Yeah. So what's $2? Was that like 19, 20?
About 17.
Okay, 17. Yeah, so he got away with $17
Yeah.
at like a no-star motel, 8, whatever. But yeah, he was getting some bank, and then, so we eat some sandwiches, and then we're gonna hacksaw these cuffs off of us. Like, but the cuffs are still going to be on you. It's just they're not going to be attached to each other.
Well, maybe not. I mean, he says we got a couple of hours work ahead, so I don't know. They might have been going to saw off each cuff.
Maybe.
I don't know if it would take that long, though.
And I like the way he handled that shower scene. When the handyman shows up, it's like, oh, where do you want me to put him? Just set it right there. Yes.
Because I wondered what they were going to do, because they couldn't still be standing there with the coat holding hands when he came back. Yeah. That would be really suspicious.
It would be. So, and he was very clever about that, and I like the way they handled it. All right, so like what at this point they go and they see the dean. Isn't that what they went and?
Yeah, the dean of the college. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, this was he was already crooked.
Yeah, like half of everybody's crooked. The doctor's crooked. The dean of the college is crooked. And also, the dean of the college is crooked when otherwise they wouldn't even have gone to the college because the CIA put the thing in the newspaper, right?
Yeah, but see, no one knew that until the CIA admitted to it.
I know, but it's like the spies didn't know that they would eventually go to the college. So it just happens that the dean of the college is also crooked.
Yep.
Like everybody's crooked.
You know, I'm pretty sure there's another movie that parallels this one that's actually about the truck drivers and them being crooked too.
Yeah. Well, at least half of them are spies.
And that other movie, that handyman, he's going to be the hero in it. Because I'm pretty sure he's the only person other than the main characters who are not crooked in this film.
Yeah, it's just like there's a line in the fourth Indiana Jones movie where the dean of the college says the government has people seeing communists in their soup. They have them so scared. And it's like, in this movie, that's almost true. Like, there's communist spies just everywhere in every part of everything.
Yeah, like they if there was soup in this movie, they probably would have seen a communist in it. Or at least like a missile try to launch out of it. Because all they had was like sandwiches and coffee. And then what, a donut?
Yeah, he had like donuts at the diner gas station thing.
Like, everyone is crooked, and you have the Central Intelligence. Like, they don't just call them the Feds or the CIA. We're from Central Intelligence. So is there like a brain in the center, and then that brain tells you what to do? Or, it's like, because that's a Central Intelligence. Like, Lord. The atomic brain.
Yeah, that's actually a movie.
That was a movie. I know, I have it. And I enjoyed that movie way more than I did this. Oh, Lord. And even, like, the CIA is crooked. Like, everyone is crooked.
Sort of. I mean, they're not, like, the CIA is not communist, but they're sort of up to things also. And they're not being clear about what. And even that, like, when he comes to see him at the lake, I was not sure, like, is he lying that he's CIA?
Well, I was about to ask
really
about that.
CIA?
Was he a Fed or a CIA?
Well, I don't know either. I mean, it's still government agencies.
Well, that was the thing. Like, I couldn't remember, because, like, even the Feds were involved. Like, someone was, like, the Feds who showed up, and there was someone who was CIA who showed up, and it's just like, okay, so who's who?
Yeah, but I just didn't know if he was a spy also. Or if, well, I guess he is a spy, but he's a U.S. spy. So, and I like that. It's really, like, terrible when you watch that at a later time. And it's terrible anyway, but when you watch a movie that's from a time and they bring up something that people weren't really familiar with at the time and they over-explain and, like, really hang a light on it, because he's like, he comes back out from talking to John fishing, and then there's the other Fed guy there, and then he's like, ICBM, intercontinental ballistic missile, can reach the US from the communist countries, and he just goes on this long thing explaining about what it is, which you wouldn't do otherwise. But it's just like, hey, remember this word you've read in the newspaper? Here's what it means in case you forgot. Isn't it frightening?
Well, you have to remember, they're in our soup.
I know. That's what I mean. It's so, that part of it is so Cold War also, that it's just like, let's take a moment to explain to another federal agent who obviously knows what an ICBM is, so that the audience knows.
That's why like, you have to have that really ignorant character who's like, what are you guys talking about? That way you can explain it and it not be bad.
Yeah, but he doesn't do that. He explains it to another agent.
Well, it can still be bad.
You need a Winston.
Ugh.
You need someone from outside the situation that isn't necessarily a stupid character, but just doesn't have the information already, or wouldn't be expected to, so that you can explain. But it's like, he's a Fed. He knows.
Yes. Someone who is not informed. Yeah.
So then they go get married, and like they kiss outside, and there's a character over there that just like looks at it and just like sighs and like drops their shoulders, and it's like, does that happen? Do people do that? Do people like see somebody kissing and be like,
well, wasn't there like a little boy and a little girl that were like outside? And
it was the
like,
boy.
Oh, we have a witness, and then like, and the girl like pulls him along.
Yeah.
It's one of those things I hate. It's like, children are our future. I'm like, well, our future is constantly f***ed. And like that kid, he knows it. Like, I'm gonna have to grow up and do that. I'm just a kid. Trust me, pal. When you get there, wink, wink, nudge, nudge. Where Jimmy? Now, them getting married was, I have a feeling that was the only way they could get around the whole, someone has signed for Miss Nicholson and now she's going to be like put away and we need a way out of this. Hey, why don't we have the main characters get married? I think that was the only reason why this had happened.
Maybe. But they try to downplay that part of it in the movie, though, because she says, is it just because of this? And he says, well, that's a reason, but I love you also. It's like, really? It would be better if you just did it for purposes, because you did not like each other the whole rest of the movie to this point.
Well, I'm just saying. I mean, I'm not talking about the movie itself as much as the people who wrote this.
So then when they get to the military base and they talk to the guy that's supposed to be the doctor but is actually a spy, like when they drop the stuff on the floor and he like reacts to the wrong thing or acts like he doesn't know where it was, I thought that was a switch. I thought that he was taking it because it's not in his hand. Like he hands her back the notepad or whatever it is that the mirror was on top of, and it's not there. And that, I guess that's just a mistake. But I thought that he was worried that somebody else in the room was crooked, and so he was going to take it and act like it wasn't there. But then it turns out he just didn't know, and he's a spy.
Well, what happened to the doctor? Because
I guess he never got out of Germany or something. He was, but maybe. I guess he didn't get out of Germany because they said we turned him to jelly before and he still never told us about what the transcript really was. So I guess either he never got out or they caught him later and then tortured him for information and killed him eventually. But I guess, I don't know who that guy is that's not the doctor that's also doing the missile work that's managing to fool the government, but I guess it's somebody. Now, so does that mean she's not really Mrs. then, since she can just go off and get married again? Because she never talks about a husband or anything. Like, it was her brother, wasn't it, that was supposed to try to escape from Germany?
But, 1957.
I don't know if that's necessarily an answer, though.
That flat tire bit, was pointless. He could have, okay, because he had angled his car and he was in the road. He's like, I got a flat tire, and the guy came out. Like, he could have just whacked him right there without having to worry about his tire. He could have just whacked him right there in the head, knocked him out, like beat him a few times, killed the guy, and then like drove off or whatever. But no, he gave himself a flat tire, so he's stuck. Like, he'll have to run away. Like, this hitman sucks at his job.
Yeah. Or he'll have to kill them and then take the time to change the tire. Yeah. But he knows every inch of the country.
Steal the other car. Well, fire will fix that. We'll smoke him out. Like, we'll just burn the countryside and claim it was just, it's just a wildfire, It couldn't help it. It just happens occasionally in nature in California. Like, a plant just kind of combusts and burns people's homes down.
So how do we feel about stars?
I'm going to give it a 2-star. Like, I normally like older movies, like the old black and white movies, and there's tons of them that I enjoy, even the bad ones. But this one was bland and boring.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, it's kind of bland, and then like it's sort of like they smash together but it's a romance thing sort of suddenly, and it's just like everybody's crooked and it's awesome, but nothing like really comes of any of it. So yeah, that I guess that sounds about right. I think I'll have to give it 2 stars also. When this was released originally in 1957, it was released as a double feature with 12 Angry Men, which probably didn't do it any favors, because it's not that good on its own, but it's especially not good compared to 12 Angry Men.
Yeah. I would normally recommend movies, even bad movies or movies I dislike, to people so they can have their own opinion. But this is a film I have to tell people to steer away from, because it is a colossal waste of time.
Yeah, it's just it's very sort of meh. You're not missing anything.
Like, like drugs and alcohol will not make this movie better. So don't waste your stuff.
Join us next week when we'll be watching Deep Star 6. We'll see you then. If you'd like to contact us, download previous episodes, or subscribe to the show so that you never miss a new episode, all of that can be found at our website, rewatchmoviespodcast.com. We post a new episode every Thursday. Thanks for listening.
I barely recognize this country anymore. The government's got us seeing communists in our soup.
She's brought something from Germany that she wants to deliver to Dr. Kissel.
Could be plans for the intercontinental ballistics missile.
ICBM. You know, these things can travel thousands of miles an hour across the Atlantic in a few minutes. Minutes, Jim.
Scares you to think about it.
Yeah, there's a lot at stake. Good to have the FBI with us, Jim.
We couldn't let the CIA cop such a big plum, could we?
You know, I wonder what those guys really wanted. They didn't stop just to change a tire.
We're just lucky. Numa by 3 o'clock. Remember?
Amarillo by morning.
You know this country well, don't you?
Every foot of it.
I've been everywhere.
This is We